Hi there, welcome to this episode of this Power BI course. In today's video, we're going to be talking about connecting and importing and even exploring data. I know you are going to be excited to learn about how to connect Power BI to multiple data sources. Let's dive in. What's our learning objectives? We want to identify various common data sources used in Power BI. We want to be able to connect and load data from Excel and CSV file and even from the web. We also want to perform initial data inspection and understand Power BI's query editor. Yes. Alright, let's start to understand the common data types or data sources in Power BI. First are the flat files. So examples of flat files are Excel, CSV, XML, and JSON. Then you have databases. You have your server, MySQL, PostgreSQL, Oracle, Google BigQuery basically. Then you have cloud services like Google Analytics, Azure, Salesforce, AWS, and then you have webs and APIs. So these are the common data sources that Power BI can actually connect to. Now, choosing the right data source, how do you do that? First, you need to understand that the data refresh needs to be considered. You need to consider, because you're updating, you have to consider that. Access and security, because once your data changes, it's going to reflect on your report or dashboard. So you want to be able to consider the access and the security that data has. Then the next is to understand the file structure and the format. It's very important. And then the next is to understand connection stability. Yep. So these are the 4 things that you consider when choosing the right data sources. Then the next is how to connect to Excel file. That's the first thing. So we're diving straight into the lesson. First thing, click Homes, then go to Get Data, then Excel, then navigate to your file, and then select the worksheet, transform load using Power Query Editor, load to Power BI. Now let's go into Power BI to see how this works. Alright, now we are on Power BI. Let's see how it works. So the first step is to go to the Home ribbon. Then the next, go to Get Data, click on Get Data. So you're going to have all the data sources that you have. So first, I'll click on Excel Workbook. Good. It opens up this dialog box. Alright, good. So let's go with the data that we have. I'll go with the population data. I'll click on this. So this is the one I want to import into Power BI or connect to Power BI. Open. Alright, so we have our Excel sheet here. Alright, let's see what it looks like. Let's see what our data source looks like. Good, so these are how the data look like. So I can just click on this to preview so I can see what it looks like. I can see the columns here: gender, age, field work, education, cars, income, and then the likes. I can see what the data looks like. Alright, good. I can check this. So once I'm satisfied with what I'm seeing, I can check this. Good. And once I check that, there are 2 ways to do this. I can either load this or transform this. Now, if the data is clean and there's no need to do any cleaning, I would load this directly into Power BI. But if there's a need to do some cleaning, because the data might not be might have some missing values, you need to treat them, then I will click Transform Data. And if I click Transform Data, it takes me to, it opens up what is called a Power Query Editor. As you can see, Power Query Editor. So this is where I can be able to edit the data. That's where I can do some data transformation and data cleaning to ensure that the data is actually fit for analysis. Alright, so this is the Power Query Editor. Just like you have it on Power BI and Excel, you have the ribbon at the top: Home, Transform, Add Column View, blah blah blah. And then you have all this, and then we'll talk about Power Query extensively in subsequent video. So these are the columns that we have, and then let's assume that this data is already cleaned. we are done with our cleaning. How do we take it back to Power BI? Good. On your home ribbon, click on your home ribbon. You're going to see close and apply here. So I'll click on close and apply, close and apply. Alright, good. Our data has been loaded into Power BI. So the next thing, I'm going to click on this arrow. Now look at all the fields that we have in our data. Now I'm on the report view, so on the data pan. So I'm going to see age, amount left, car value, cars, so I can see all the fields we have on our data. If I go to the table view, for instance, so I see it in tabular form, so I can see the gender, the age, field of work, education, cars, incomes, and so I can still see it as a table. You can see the filter button, so it's very similar to, it looks like an Excel interface, right? Exactly. Then you have your data model. As you can see, this is the only data that we have in our Power BI for now, so we can add more tables and then connect if there is need to connect, create a model basically, but we're not doing all of that. So the next kind of data that we want to connect to is CSV. So how do you do that? You go to get, then text/CSV, browse, and then select your CSV file, adjust the encoding or delimiter setting if it is needed, and then load and transform data before importing. Okay, good. Let's try to do that. Alright, back to Power BI. To import a CSV file, go to home ribbon, then go to get data, then scroll down. You're going to see text/CSV. So I'll click on that, then I'll browse the data I want. So I'll click on this population data, this, and then okay, ensure that it's a CSV file. Anyways, Power BI will ensure that it filters out only the CSV files. So we have this, and then we can see this. So we have the state and the population, and then we have the comma. It is a comma separated value. It's a comma, that's a delimiter. That's what CSV means. Comma separated values, that's what it means. And then you have the view of this is based on the first 200. Okay, good. So we would either load or transform, anyhow you want to do it, but since the data is clean, I will just take it back to Power Query. So I'll take this to Power Query, and then it opens it for Power Query, for Power Query to do some data cleaning and data transformation if there is any need to. So it takes it to Power Query. So as you can see, we had our former data that we loaded into Power BI. That was an Excel file. Now we have our CSV file. Exactly. So if this is done, I'm done with all my data cleaning. I would close and apply this, and it takes it down to Power BI. Alright, in Power BI now we have our data. Now we can see that we have these two data. We have data sources, we have and the population data. So we can collapse this and shrink this, collapse and shrink this. So I can see the field in the second table. You have the population, you have the state, and then I can go down to my table view and then collapse this and then click on this. So once I click on this, it shows the table, the state, and the respective population. I click here and then can see the population and the state. So these are two tables that I can decide to build a model on later if I want to. Alright, so that's how to import a CSV file. Now going to the last one, which I'm going to show you today, which is how to get data from the web. It's very similar. All you're going to do is go to the home ribbon, then go to get, then go to the web, click on web, just below text/CSV. Okay, then it's asking for a URL, so we need to get the URL of where we want to get our data from. So where are we getting our data from? Alright, so we're going to get data from premierleague.com. So we want to check the table, and then we're going to www.premierleague.com/tables. That's where we are getting this data from. And then I'm going to scroll down so I can see the table. I can see Liverpool is topping this table on this particular date, 24th of April. So then we can see each of the played, win, draw, lost, and likes and their points as well. So we can actually connect to this table, this report, such that even if anything changes on this table, it will reflect on our report. So let's go down into Power BI to get this. So I'm going to get this URL. I'll get this URL. I'll copy that and then go down to Power BI, and then where you have this URL, I'll paste it here and then click OK. So Power BI is going to connect to the table on that website. Alright, so Power BI is done with its magic. Let's see what it comes up with. Let's see. I'll check this. Check table 1. So once I check this, I'll see load or transform. So I'll go to transform. It opens up Power Query for you to do some data cleaning if there's a need to. So let's check if we actually need to do some data cleaning on this. So now look at the way the data is being imported. We'll probably need to do some data cleaning on this. So this would take a while to do. You have to be proficient in Power BI to be able to clean this data. However, I can still edit this name by double clicking on it and saying football table. Right, good. So I have football table, and then I can close and apply, assuming I am done with my data cleaning. Close and apply. Alright, our data is ready, so we can see the football table is now appearing on the model view. If you go to the table view, the same thing, you can see the football table also here. So we can see the football table here, and then on the report view we can also see the football table as well. So this is how we import data on, this is how we connect to multiple data sources on Power BI, and that will be data cleaning with Power Query. So I want you to anticipate this next episode of this lesson. Alright, so see you there.